Progress.
Okay, dear friends, here we go. Parshas Emor. Amazing ha'aros on the Trop of Parshas Emor. Ad Perek Chav Gimel Pasuk Tes Zayin. Ad mimacharas hashabos hashviyis tisperu chamishim yaim v'hikravtem ncha chadasha ladoinai. This is the mitzvah of Sfiras Omer. You count Sfartem lachem mimacharas hashabos miyoim haviachem es Omer hatnufa sheva shabasois tmimois tiena ad Mimachras HaShabbos HaShvius, until the day after the 7th Shabbos, Tisperu, you should count Chamishim Yom. So the literal reading of the pasuk indicates you should count the 50th day. In fact, the Rekeach says, but we don't count 50 days of Sfira, we only count 49. The Rekeach says, yeah, you do count 50. Kiddush on Shavuos is the counting of the 50th day, and therefore the Sefer She'eres Yosef points out, when you make Kiddush the night of Shavuos, you should be mechavein to mekayim the mitzvah of Sfira of the 50th day. However, most learn, no, there's only a mitzvah to count 49 days. Tisperu, ad mimachas hashavos tisperu chamishim yom. But how do you read those words? Tisperu chamishim yom. Says the Abarbanel, the pasuk does not mean you should count the 50th day. What the pasuk means is, you only count 49 days. Ad mimachras hashabos hashvius tisperu. And then, chamishim yom, on the 50th day, v'hikravtem mincha chadash al Hashem. You should bring a carbon mincha. You don't read it. Tisperu chamishim yom. Now you say, what do you mean you don't read it? That's because you have to know the Trop. If the Trop is, ad mimacharas hashabos hashvius Tisperu chamishim yom v'hikravtem and chachadash al Hashem. So the tipcha is on the word tisperu. Ad mimachras hashaz hashvius tisperu, until the 49th day count. Pause. A tipcha is a pause. The Mishnah Berurah says if you run over a tipcha, bevadai machzirun oisa, you have to go back. Now you'll say, I don't know how to do a tipcha. No problem. Then you need to retire and step down from reading the Torah. There are many other things you could do for the Jewish people. You could do whatever you like. You could learn Torah. You could give tzedakah. You could daven. You could buy hadassim for Friday night. You could do any of the mitzvahs. However, if you haven't learned what a tipcha is, you cannot read the Torah for the tzibor, because you change the meaning of the words. If you run over the tipcha, then what you're saying is tisperu chamishim yom. You should count 50 days, but you don't do that. It's tisperu kama chamishim yom, the 50th day v'hikravtem mincha chadash Hashem. That's the Abarbanel. Now, here's another amazing one. Leman yedu doiroisechem kivasukais haishavti es b'nei Yisrael v'haitzi oisa me'eretz Mitzrayim ani Hashem Elokeichem. Why does the word Sukis have a revi'i? Leman yedu doiroisechem. It should say Kivasukais Haishavti es b'nei Yisrael. It should be Mapach Pashta. The word Haishavti, I situated, should go back on the word Sukais. It is going on Sukais. What did Haishavti? What did God put us in? Sukais. Why in the world does the word Sukais have a revi? Kivasukais. Why would we pause there? It should be Kivasukais Haishavti. So Rav Yaakov Tzvi Mecklenburg in Haksava HaKabbalah, he says something very important. The Sukis that we're talking about are clouds of glory. Does anybody know what location did Hashem give us clouds of glory? Well, if you look in Shemais Perek Yud Beis Pasuk Lamed Zayin, Vayisu b'nei Yisomei Ramses Sukoisa. Rabbi Akiva says the Sukos are the Ananei HaKavod, like Targum Yonasan ben Uziel says. Unetalu b'nei Yisomim pelusin l'Sukos taman is is chapiu shivas anane yikara. But if you noticed, usually Sukis in the Chumash is spelled chaser without a vav. Why over here is it spelled malay with a vav? Why over here is it spelled malay with a vav? You know why? Because it doesn't just mean anane akavod. You know what it means? It also means the location. Ki ba Sukis, at a place called Sukis, haishafti es b'nei Yisrael. So it has a double meaning. Meaning number one is ki ba Sukis, in clouds of glory. Meaning number two is at the location called Sukis, haishafti es b'nei Yisrael. So therefore, to indicate the second meaning, says Aksav Kabbalah, the word Sukis is spelled malay with a vav to indicate that it's the location of Sukis. The location Sukis is always malay with a vav, like in Yeshua, Yud Gimel Chav Zayin, or Vayishlach, V'Yakov Nasa Sukaisa, Aken Koshem Akim Sukis. So therefore, to indicate that, even though it should, if it was only referring to the clouds of glory, it would read Ki ba Sukis haishafti. But it's not only going on the clouds of glory, but rather it's going on the location Ki ba Sukis haishafti es b'nei Yisrael behaitzi oisam me'eretz Mitzrayim ani Hashem Elokeichem. Anyway, so that's the meaning of the Trop of the Revi on the word Basukos. Says Haksav HaKabbalah. One more. Vayetze ben Isha Yisraelis. Guys, you know the story? The story is you have a man. His father was an Egyptian. His mother was Shloimis Bas Divri. The father abused Shloimis in Mitzrayim. He coerced her and produced this child. This child has a Jewish mother, does not have a Jewish father. Therefore, he has no real estate ownership in the land of Israel because he has no father. And because of that, he cursed. Now on the pasuk, Vayetze ben Isha Yisraelis, Rashi says, Melamed shenes gayer. This teaches us that he converted. Who converted? The Chizkuni and the Ramban says, the Mekalel, the Megadev converted, because his father wasn't Jewish. And before the Torah was given, maybe there was patrilineal descent. So it's going on the Megadev. However, the Ravid and the Rash and the Taras Kainim say no, the father of the Megadev converted. So let's go back and read the pasuk. Vayetze ben Isha Yisraelis. The son of a Jewish woman went out. V'hu ben Isha Mitzri. He is the son of an Egyptian man. B'soich b'nei Yisrael. He converted. Who's he? The Ramban, the Chizkuni says he is the Mekalel converted. The Ravid and the Rash says no, the Egyptian father converted. V'hu ben Ish, it says b'soich b'nei Yisrael. He joined the people. But who joined the people? Now, the Trop says the Sefer Shmuais Moshe. This is quoted in the Sefer Mefairash, the Sam Seichel of Rav Aaron Lapiansky. He says the Trop supports the opinion of the Chizkuni and the Ramban. Vayetze ben Isha Yisraelis. V'hu ben Ish Mitzri. Pause. B'soich b'nei Yisrael. B'soich b'nei Yisrael is going back on the beginning of the pasuk of Ben Isha Yisraelis. It's going back on the beginning of the pasuk Ben Isha Yisraelis. And the Zakev Katan on the words Ben Ish Mitzri indicate that it is not connected with the words B'soich b'nei Yisrael. Because if it was going on the Ben Ish Mitzri, then perhaps it would say Vayetze ben Isha Yisraelis. Maybe there would be an asnachta on Yisraelis, or maybe the words Ben Ish Mitzri. V'hu ben Ish Mitzri. Ben Ish Mitzri b'soich b'nei Yisrael. In other words, the fact that the words Ben Ish Mitzri is separated from b'soich b'nei Yisrael indicates that the conversion wasn't on the Egyptian father, rather the conversion was going on the beginning of the pasuk, the Ben Isha Yisraelis. So if you're attuned to the details of the Trop, it assists in understanding the reading of the pasuk.
Recording stopped.